Three, two, one. What's going on, everyone? It's another Ash on Comics Live, Storytime live stream where I read to you sometimes good comics, sometimes bad comics. I don't know, but it's something I do 3 times a night. Wait, no, 3 times a week at night, 10 p.m. Pacific time. I know it's late for all you East Coasters. I'm sorry. But for those of you in Australia, it's probably like breakfast, I guess. I don't know what time it is. I know we get some people from down under. We get people all over the world coming in and to share the joy of comics, to read comics, to have comics read to you, to talk shit about comics, sometimes politics, and sometimes other stuff. Who knows what's going to be on my mind. Let's see who's in the chat tonight. Who could be first? Vegas odds are always on Melissa, and Vegas would win tonight too. Good to see you, Melissa. If you're actually here, Melissa likes to come in, tag in, get the first, and then bail. But no, she'll be in. Tehillim, speaking of down under, is number 2, and then Marania taking up number 3. Good to see you guys. Marania says, "I'm here to support Ash and hear the stories being read tonight." Thank you. I'm drinking the last of my beer supply, so I'm kind of bummed about that. Tonight, Stella Artois, the beer you drink with your pinky extended. I hear that's how the Belgians do it. It's a Belgian beer. I'm not even sure where Belgium is. Isn't Belgium near France? Aren't Belgians pretty much like French? It's kind of like, I don't know. I actually have to look it up. It's one of those countries. It's like Latveria. And yes, I know Latveria is a fictional country, but it's like where the hell is it? But they actually they make good beer. Belgians know how to make good beer. You should try it sometime if you haven't. I recommend it. Very professional, drinking live on stream, making all sorts of weird mouth sounds into the mic. That's what you get, your daily dose of ASMR on Ash on Comics. Zach Richmond is here. It says story time. Let's see. Good to see you, says Marania. I know, right? Had to go grab an aspirin from the Bendis-induced headache I was getting. Oh no, were you reading Bendis? It's going to probably take something stronger than aspirin, my friend. You might try some beer. Beer's a good remedy. Beer makes Bendis better. It's always recommend reading Bendis with beer goggles on. And when you read Bendis with beer goggles, the books are much, much better. In fact, I bet you that's why Jimmy likes Bendis so much, because he does tend to drink a lot, from what I understand. Let's see. RDV says, I'm wrapping up reading issue 7. Issue 7 of what? What the hell is it? Is that a comic? Is there a comic called issue 7? I don't know. There must be something that I am not aware of. Ronnie says, I wish I had some almonds to munch on. Zach, 8 = 1 aspirin. And after that Bendis stuff earlier, I need to eat a handful to get rid of that headache myself. Almonds are like aspirin? I didn't know that. Let's see. Comics were memes before even memes were popular, says Tehillim. Are you, when you say that, are you referring to like comic strips? Because that I would probably agree with, like political cartoons. Amazingly enough, man, political cartoons, even in today's day and age of like ultimate political correctness, there's some people doing some like good political cartoons that really criticize the left, which shocks me because the left just doesn't tolerate dissent at all. Like you can't joke about them, you can't mock them, most people join that side, and you know, it's just everything's anti-Trump. And it's easy. You see the cartoons like, oh, look, there's another cartoon of Trump with an orange skin. Oh, so funny. But there's actually some good ones. And memes are great. They're a great way to convey an idea, a simple idea, through, you know, words and pictures. Let's see. Ronnie says, uh-oh, getting a little circle of death on the screen, but it's cleared up. Okay. Whew. Melissa says, Long Halloween is my favorite Joker issue. Oh, okay, that's cool. Sounds like Ash needs to visit the Savvy Time website to actually see the times in Australia. I probably do. All I know is that you're like in another time zone. Like you're either like in the past or the future. I can't remember which it is. Eric says, I'm sorry I couldn't make it tonight. What? What do you mean you couldn't make it? You're here. Are you bailing already? Is that what you're saying? Sorry, I'm not going to make it? I don't know what that means. Jimmy's in the house. Speaking of Jimmy, there he is right there in the flesh. Let's see. My son got a Black Lantern Reverse Flash. Tehillim says, is Ash telling that he failed geography? No, I didn't fail geography, but geography doesn't mean you remember what time zones and stuff. I know where Australia is. I can point to it on a map, but I don't remember the time zones. I guess I could look it up. That's what the internet's for. But I'm in the middle of a stream, so I'll have to do that later. Besides, it's more fun to just make stuff up and mumble your way through things. Let's see. Comics Quirks with Jimmy. No, she was on my stream. Oh, man. This must be conversations carried over from the previous stream, I guess. I don't know. RDV says American Vampire #7. Oh, RDV's reading ahead. Wah. I guess it means he likes the books since he's not waiting for the stream read. Either that or he hates my renditions of the books and he's like, F that, I'm going to read it myself. Which I can understand. No hard feelings. Jimmy says, I don't drink a lot. I drink moderately. Okay. Wait, does that mean you don't drink often? Or does that mean that when you do drink, you don't drink that much? Because it could be two different ways. Like you can be a person who drinks all the time, but you only have a moderate amount when you do. Or you can be the kind of person that maybe you only drink once in a while, but when you do, man, you're freaking bonkers. Let's see. I am True Skills. What's up, my friend? He says, yo, Ash, what's your favorite Marvel comic this week? Well, first of all, I only get 3 Marvel comics. So, chances of, me having a favorite book is going to be one of those 3. And I haven't read the current books. I tried to read Daredevil. Well, actually, no, I did read Thor. I tried to read Daredevil last night, and it's not that it's bad. Don't take this as some sort of criticism of the book, but I fell asleep through it. And that's more of the fact because I read it in the wee hour of the morning as I was going to bed. And I was like, I'll just lie in bed and read this comic book. And I was like, whew, lights out. I think like the first page. So I have to finish that book. And Venom, I fell behind on. Whatever the Venom Beyond, I think is the current storyline. I have not read any of those. I read all the last storyline. And I haven't picked up. The new Thor issue was okay. It's okay. It's a side story. It's a filler. It's like a 2-issue kind of like, oh, my artist is on a break, so here's a little side story. And I think I talked about this on the last episode. I almost kind of rather let that happen so that I can get the main artist on the main storyline. But I do like the main storyline. It's not the best Donny Cates has written, but it's got some crazy ideas in it. And you guys that listen to me a lot, you're going to hear me repeating myself, but I don't think Donny is necessarily the best writer, but he's got great ideas. And that's what I love about Donny Cates. And I like that he's got a passion for comics. I like that he likes all the tropes of comics, like continuity. That's a big deal to me. So he's a guy that I like to follow, not because he writes the most wonderful stories that bring tears to my eyes, but the imagination, that's a huge deal. And that's one thing that we used to look at comics for, you know. It's what comics used to be wild and out there. And like, that's why you didn't have good comic book movies, because even Hollywood was like, whoa, we don't dare go that crazy. That's oh, that's too out there, you know? But for us comic fans, we were like, no, that's freaking great, you know? Like, big 200-foot tall Galactus standing in the middle of New York City, like, planting his, world-eating device. A dude who's all silver on a surfboard. Like, it was just wild out there. Like, we comic fans were like, this is cool, you know? Going over to the DC side, the idea of the Green Lantern Corps, things like that just capture our imagination, and Hollywood's kind of catching up. They're starting to realize, like, hey, this weird fantasy crazy sci-fi stuff is sells tickets. So I don't know, but anyways, that's why I like Donny Cates, is because he comes up with great ideas. Sometimes great ideas. You swing for the fences. You can't always. Sometimes you strike out. But that was a baseball reference for you, Breen. Don't say I didn't love you. So I'm gonna say, Thor, I guess. I'm sorry to say, for all you Marvel fans out there, I just don't like Marvel. I mean, I love Marvel. Marvel's what got me into comics. I just don't like the current Marvel. Marvel's like that parent that you have that becomes an alcoholic, and violent alcoholic, and they start like beating up everyone in the house, and you're like, we love you, but we can't deal with you. You need to get help. That's what current Marvel is. Like, get help, Marvel. We love you, but you gotta get help. Eric Breen says, if Peach MOMOKO can sign an exclusive art deal with Marvel, why won't they sign national treasure Gabby Rivera to an exclusive writing contract? Well, Eric, the answer is obvious. Gabby Rivera is national treasure. They can't afford the likes of her. I mean, Peach MOMOKO is one thing, but Gabby Rivera is a whole nother league. Oh man! Speaking of which, you guys probably heard Perch, who gets way more listens than I do, did a video on this. Marvel's got this new thing called Stormbreakers, because Marvel's the house of no ideas. Stormbreakers, so stupid. Let's take a look at some cringe, won't we? Oh.
CB, pop quiz.
All right, Joe.
What do these people all have in common? Sarah Kelly.
All right.
Humberto Ramos.
Okay.
Adi Granos.
Seen a pattern here.
Jim Chung.
Yep.
Steve McNiven. David Finch.
All right, I think I know. They are the top artists in the comic book industry.
Right.
No, they're not. Some of them are the top. But sorry, Sarah Pacelli is not the top comic book artist in the industry. Are you kidding me? Maybe they're the top they're the top artists that are willing to work at Marvel. That's the part they said. There's no Jorge Jimenez listed there. There's no Ivan Rice. There's no who else is over big at DC? Liam Sharp. I'm drawing blanks. No Sean Gordon Murphy. There's none of those names that they list. But here, that's not the point. Joe Quesada. So joke. God, you used to be cool, Joe. Joe Quesada used to be cool. He used to be like the tail end of the Rockstar era of Marvel, when all the big Marvel guys went over to Image and stuff. And Joe Quesada had this little indie book, and Marvel kind of got him in, and he kind of brought some coolness back to Marvel. And now look at him; he's just like, God, is that a mullet, Joe? Jesus.
Wrong. That's not what I'm asking.
I got it. We identified them early on and made them Young Guns.
That's right, the Young Gun program, where we found these great young artists, put a spotlight on them, and their careers have blossomed. I mean, they've become the biggest names in the industry.
Superstars.
But now we're doing something newer than Young Guns.
Yes.
Young Guns is now, that's old.
Yep.
Right?
Now we're doing something newer than Young Guns. Newer. That all Young Gun stuff.
Old Guns. What do we got?
We have a new initiative that we're going to be announcing that is going to bring these guys, the next generation of comic book pencilers from around the globe, and put them on Marvel's biggest projects and identify them as the next generation of Marvel's elite artists.
Now, something that struck me about this video is, like, do you feel like this guy over here, CB Cebulski on the left, this is the editor-in-chief of Marvel. But do you feel like he kind of comes off like an assistant to Joe Quesada? Like, sorry, CB should be running the ship. He's the captain, right? Now, the captain still has to answer to the admirals and other stuff like that, but he's the main dude of his own ship. He's given autonomy. CB Cebulski is not. This dude is basically a puppet. He's only allowed to do what the boss man over here says. And look at this body language. He's just like, is that right, boss? Am I allowed to say this? And Joe Quesada, all right, you're saying the right thing, so we won't fire you yet, CB. It's like, come on.
And we have a new name. Do you want to announce it?
Hang on, I'm channeling my best Stan Lee. Stormbreakers.
Oh, God. Cringe.
Congratulations to this year's class of Stormbreakers. They are...
This year's class of Stormbreakers, as if this was something that wasn't just pulled out of their ass recently. This year's class of Stormbreakers. No, these are the only Stormbreakers that ever have been. There hasn't been no previous class, unless you're saying this is just the Young Guns program and we're renaming it. But they're not just renaming it, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Josh Casera.
Pat Gleason.
Okay. Let's clue you. Here's this. Pat Gleason is not a Young Gun. So you couldn't call this Young Guns, because Pat Gleason has been in the industry for 20 freaking years. Now, previously, he's been over at DC because DC pays better and DC recognizes talent. And if you are talented and you're worth money, and you know you're worth money, you go over there, because from everything I understand, you get treated better, you get paid better. Yeah, you get to work with better writers. Like, why wouldn't you? Unless you're like one of these few people who are like, I grew up loving Marvel so much that they just want to work at Marvel. But Pat Gleason is no Young Gun. He's been around for 20 years.
Peach Momoko.
Stormbreaker. Yeah.
NATACHA Bustos.
Oh yeah, this is taking the world by storm. This is a Stormbreaker. Look at that. The book that sells so low, it doesn't even necessarily make it into the top 500 of Comic-Con numbers. And Marvel just subsidizes the book because it's like this virtue signal thing that whatever, I don't know why it doesn't get canceled. Like it's someone's pet project that is immune, that just, I don't know. It's like non-existent sales. Now the interesting thing is if Peach Momoko actually was a star, these comics would be so rare that you could be able to go back and be like, oh, I'm gonna go get her Moon Devil, I can't even say it, Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur books. They're non-existent because they have no print run. Can you imagine any other book besides Moon Girl this art working for? I don't know.
Ivan Coelho.
Now this dude's done some fill-in issues for Venom, and it's like, okay, you're tolerable as a fill-in artist, meaning your art's not so bad that we hate buying the book, but you're no Ryan Stegman, and it's noticeable. Like you're not a Stormbreaker.
Carmen Canero.
No
Juan
comment.
Cabal.
Oh yeah, look at that. He's really good at drawing people standing around and eating. Like more standing around, no dynamicism.
R.B. Silva.
Now this might be one of the guys that most people go, oh yeah, I could see him being, but there were two people that did House of X and Powers of X, and R.B. Silva was not the good one of the two. He was the tolerable one. He's okay. I guess some people like him. I think that's just because the bar is so low these days that he stands out. But Pepe Larraz is the real star. But you won't see his name here. Spoiler alert.
Now, guys, get ready to take up the hammer.
Congratulations, folks.
Welcome to Marvel. Welcome to Stormbreakers.
That was cringe. That was so cringe. Sorry I'm late. If you guys probably watch better videos than mine of people talking about that. And if you did, you did. And if you didn't, then I got a chance to talk about it. That's... yeah, there's no Gabby Rivera. Well, she's a writer, so I guess she wouldn't be counted anyway. Let's see. I'm trying to get my chat thing to work. Bear with me here. I'm sitting here. I can't talk and rub my stomach at the same time. That's a skill I just don't have. Let's see. Zach says, current Marvel sucks. DC is the superior right now story-wise, even though they still have plenty of problems. Yeah. DC's got some problems, but, DC's in the middle of a bunch of turmoil right now, too. So, I'm kind of like waiting to see how things fall. My biggest problem with DC right now is that they're going the exploitive route of Marvel, of like massive numbers of variant covers, all of these like special issues that they're charging twice as much for, and bi-weekly shipping, which causes you to just basically spend twice as much on a book. It's really frustrating, especially when the quality is not all there. I would love for DC to be so good that that's all I bought. And for a while, that's kind of what it was. When I got back into comics, Rebirth was so good, I pretty much only bought DC. But they kept canceling all their good books, and then I kept trying to get new books, and then they canceled those books, and then eventually I was like, well, you're getting less and less books for me to buy. I guess I got more space on my, in my pull list that I can do. I'll pick up this indie book. So I started picking up some indie books. And then I was like, oh, I got more space. I guess I'll pick up this Marvel book, which you had made me forget about. Like I was satisfied being on DC. I'm an old Marvel fan. But DC just kept going, nope, we're not. We got to keep failing harder. We're not failing hard enough. So I'm rooting for DC. I think they do still have the talent. I think the industry is in dismay. So I blame a lot on DC, but there's also factors beyond their control. And hopefully they rebound. Sometimes you just need to fail hard, though, to rebound. So, maybe that's what it's going to take. Maybe it's going to take lots of people just abandoning their subscriptions and canceling their books so they get a wake-up call and go, this isn't good. We need to stop failing. Let's see. Eric Breen says Marvel Comics 1961 through 2011. Nay, my friend. I say nay. Marvel Comics 1961 through 1996. And 2011. They were done when they collapsed. And they were kind of done before the collapse, which was the reason for the collapse. And they've had some good things speckled in the early 2000s. I know Eric's going to point out to like the Brubaker Captain run and stuff like that. And I can say, well, I could point out to the, this Darsky Daredevil run today. Like they've got some good things today, but if less than 10% of your line of product is good, you're shit. Like Marvel used to be 80% of what they published, 90% of what they published was solid. They had their joke books, NFL All Pro, whatever that one was. They've had their books where you were like shake your head and be like, what the hell is this, Marvel? But they were the exceptions, not the rule. Marvel had this like standard. When you saw that Marvel stamp on it, it was like, it was like, oh, this is going to be at least solid. Even their bad books had this level of, middling level of quality. Now that middling level of quality would be their best books today. Well, maybe not their best books. That's a little too far, but let's see. Teelan says, Eric Breen, we all need Gabrielle to write Ashton Comics biography and put it into an omnibus. Oh yeah. Yeah, I need Gabby Rivera to write my biography. That'd be great. RDV says they're all horrible. Wow, that's not very Vankman. Vankman, you're the tolerant guy. You're the one that well, you're not quite as tolerant as Jimmy, but you're pretty tolerant. CB wants to get this over with and get some Chinese food. But didn't he come across like a little puppy dog? Like, yeah, yes, Mr. Quesada. Whatever you say, Mr. Quesada. Like, dude is the editor-in-chief. He's not just some assistant guy. CB should have been in Quesada's position, and then they should have had some intern there with him, feeding him sort of the lines, that he could, It's just so weird how much they've undermined the editor-in-chief position. Marvel has made it clear that the editor-in-chief is completely castrated and they will never have any power again. That that company is run by the suits like Joe Quesada and Sana Amanat and the creative types and CB Cebulski is a creative type. Look, I give the dude a lot of flack, but just because you aren't a great editor-in-chief doesn't mean that you're worthless, right? I think most of the great talent, look at Jim Lee. I don't think Jim Lee necessarily is a great executive of comics, but I love him as an artist. Like CB Cebulski, I think, is probably a good regular editor, right? I think he knows his stuff, and I think I haven't read much of anything of his, but I don't remember ever reading anything of his and I go, oh, that stunk, So yeah. Let's see. Finch is great, says RDV. That's true. Finch is great. Of course, he doesn't draw comics anymore. It's because he is great. Marvel. The funny thing is all the great people that they listed in that, like Finch, they can't afford to pay to draw their comics. That's the funny thing about it. So they named people like that. It's like, yep, and he'll draw some covers from time to time. Bravo. It's so stupid. And where was Ryan Stegman's name and Pepe Larraz? And before you say, well, Ash, they've been around for a while, so they wouldn't. But I'm like, I thought about that. So I went and looked it up. Patrick Gleason's been around twice as long as those guys. twice as long. And Ryan Stegman wasn't really even known until Venom. He did some like oddball comics here and there, but no one was like, oh, and then he got the Venom series somehow, maybe because Donny Cates likes him, they're friends, I don't know. And people are like, and Pepe Larraz, same type of thing. People had heard of Pepe Larraz. He did that Star Wars comic with was it Kanan? I think it was. Didn't knock anyone's socks off. It was there. It was fine. But it was once he did House of X and Powers of X because of the amazing colors of Marte. Pepe Larraz and Marte Gracia need to never break up. They need to mate for life because Marte Gracia just makes Pepe Larraz that much better. It's like Scott Williams inking Jim Lee. Jim Lee, don't ever draw without Scott inking you. It's just some of those partnerships. Yeah, I don't. Why is his name not listed here? But who knows? Who knows? Because Marvel. I tell you why. Because maybe those guys aren't an exclusive deal. Could that be? Could it be that those two guys aren't exclusive? I'd like to see some Pepe Larraz over at DC. Maybe some Ryan Stegman getting on a Batman book. I'm doing the little touching, the little like putting your two hands together just at the fingertips, and you're like la 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 la. If you can imagine it, that's what I'm doing. The little evil villain. I think it. What was it from The Simpsons? Mr. Burns did that. Let's see. Ronnie says Clayman, Gary Frank. Yeah, those are two. Yeah, thanks, Marania. Those are two top names of the industry. Also, that guess what? Marvel can't afford them. Melissa says, I'm saying goodbye in case you get demonetized. Why? What did I say wrong? Did I say something terrible? I guess you don't have to say much terrible these days. Let's see. Tehillim says he sold his principles for sensitivity training to the dumb woke crowd. I don't know if he sold his principles. CB is a millennial, right? You can tell. Look at the guy. He's a soft little millennial guy. And I don't mean any insult to any millennials in the audience, but CB's a softy guy. And you can tell him he looks like a lovable teddy bear guy. I bet I would enjoy being friends with CB Sabol. Now, CB may not want to be friends with me because I'm a contentious asshole. But I look at CB and go, he's a guy I could probably be friends with. He seems really likable. He does love food. I love food. He loves comics. I love comics. I look at CB and go, that's the kind of guy. If when you're looking to meet new friends and you see, come you get a kind of a gut feeling about people, like, oh, he'd be a cool person to hang out. Like I think CB would be a good guy to call a friend. But I just think that he grew up in a world that he just has different worldviews than me. He doesn't see the problems that are apparent to people like me. So since he doesn't see them as problems, there's nothing that he's going to find wrong. He doesn't see any reason to be in an uproar about it. There's no, my war is not his war type thing. I don't see it as more like he's a sellout, because that implies that he knows how bad, and I don't. I think he's really oblivious. And that's much of the world, to be honest. Let's see. Did Sana okay this? RDV says, I didn't give you consent. The only artist worth mentioning in the Stormbreakers group is Patrick Gleason. There might be one or two more. But yeah, Patrick Gleason, I think, is definitely the best. RDV says, quit making me watch this. Zach says, that was an insult to Stan Lee. I know, isn't it? Like seeing Joe Quesada do Stan Lee. What gets me about that, now that I think about it, is I don't feel like that was a real, earnest tribute to Stan Lee. I felt like that was an exploitation of Stan Lee. Like, oh yeah, Marvel fans like Stan Lee, so I'm going to use that name to kind of, I'm saying, reach out to them, I can't think of the right term, but I think you know what I mean. Zach Richmond says the 2 women are basically Tumblr artists. There was more than 2 women. There was like 4. And ironically, the one girl that does the Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is probably the best out of the 4. It's just that her art is very preteen, like YA graphic novel style. It's not comic books. It's not the Marvel way, right? She'd probably be fine doing art for some, like I said, some YA graphic novel book, or whatever, like a Raina Telgemeier type of thing. But comic fans, at least old school traditional comic fans like myself, maybe Eric Breen, Maranya, others of you that I don't necessarily know to speak for, appreciate the old school Marvel way of comics. And there are certain tropes and concepts of comic art that Marvel kind of pioneered that we love to see, and people have built on that. Like whole new publishing houses, Image was built, not anymore, but Image originally was built on comics the Marvel way. That's how they started that. They made the name for themselves, and then those guys decided, oh, doing business is hard. It's like, oh, we're so tired of Marvel telling us what to do and owning the properties. We're going to do it ourselves. And then they did it, and they're like, oh, this is hard. I want to sell out again. Except for Todd. Todd and, Rob Liefeld, too, for the most part. I got to give those 2 guys a hand. But anyways, let's see. Gleason can actually write good stories, too. I think people give Gleason a little bit too much credit on this. The jury's still out, in my opinion, on Gleason. I think Gleason might have good ideas. I've seen him. He did co-write with Tomasi. I believe on the Superman book. I'm not sure I don't think he did anything as Super Sons, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're a good writer, right? It was like Jim Lee co-wrote with Chris Claremont on the new X-Men, but was Jim Lee really, no. Like, it doesn't mean you're terrible, but writing is more than having good ideas. There's a skill set. So that skill needs to be refined over time. I don't know. I'd like to see Gleason try, actually. He's probably at least as good as the, make the top 50 percentile, right? There's so many bad. He can't be worse than anyone writing any of the X books right now, right? Yep, I know Jonathan Hickman writes X books. I mean that. I'm aware. I would pick Gleason to write better than any of those guys and girls and in between, whatever. I don't. So yeah, maybe so. Let's see. Stormbreaker is broken. Thor broke it. Yeah, I guess he did. Good. Stormbreaker should be broken. Well, maybe not, because it was Beta Ray Bill's weapon. So now they're going to make Beta Ray Bill another weapon. Yawn. Let's see. Joe Quesada killed Marvel and killed X-Men with the House of M and Spider-Man in one more day. Yes. Melissa. RDV says, I need a beer after this visual assault on my eyes. Oh, what kind of beer are you drinking, Venkman? I never know you drink beer. See, now we can start talking about beer. You can tell a lot about a person about what kind of beer they drink. Let's see. Watch out. You might get demonetized by these woke SJW punks. I'm saying my goodbyes just in case anything happens. Well, thank you, Melissa. If anything does happen, you'll be the only person who said goodbye, so I appreciate that. But try not to jinx us. Let's see. Zach says, I feel assaulted. Ryuk says, I just got here just in time for the cringe. Welcome, Ryuk. I'm glad I got to give you some cringe. And I totally forgot about New York Comic Con at home. I didn't even know about New York Comic Con at home. So like, I couldn't forget about it. I didn't even know. Like, who cares? So just, I couldn't be bothered to do the San Diego Comic Con. I was like, at home, this is stupid. Like, it's just, it feels so pathetic. Like, it's bad enough when I go to the Comic Con and, you know, I attend some of the panels because, you know, some of them are interesting. Well, I haven't been into in years. I can't say that. They used to be interesting. I'm hoping they still are, but I'm betting they're now full of woke nonsense. How diversity improves comics. A panel by whatever. So, but when you're there, it's already kind of like, oh, I feel kind of like bored. I'm just sitting in this banquet hall thing and listening to people on stage pontificate about whatever, like comics or some big deal. But sitting at home, like watching on video, like there's just, no, got better things to do. Let's see. Eric Breen says, still waiting for America number 13. We all are, Eric. We all are. 90% of Marvel books were good from 2006 to 2010. I think you were blitzed out of your mind. Let's see. I'm True Skills says Marvel need Cates and Ewing to do all the books. What are you talking about? Ewing sucks. Okay, I don't say he sucks. He's done some decent stories, but he mostly sucks. And like I said, Cates has good ideas. But ideas don't just like pop out of thin air, just like, oh, I can just make them happen whenever I want. It sometimes it takes time to feel inspired and get these ideas. Like there's a reason ideas come, I mean, slowly generally. And Cates is already being stretched way too thin at Marvel. His quality has dropped dramatically since he made his big fanfare entrance when he was writing one book. Now he's writing what, 4, 5, 6 books. He's becoming the next Bendis. Ryuk says Ash Stegman was Superior Spider-Man for a while. Yeah, I know that he did other books. He didn't really kind of make a splash until Venom, right? I mean, it's like Jim Lee did Punisher before he did X-Men, but very few people like remembered that until he hit X-Men. It was like, whoa. Then people were like, oh, this dude did X-Men Punisher too. Oh yeah, he did an Alpha. Like, you know, same thing with Todd McFarlane. It wasn't until he landed on Spider-Man that people were like, oh, who's this Todd McFarlane guy? Let's see. Team says Casada, the fox in the chicken coop. I like classic Marvel, says Melissa. Who doesn't like classic Marvel, Melissa? That's the real question. Teelam says, shut up, Ash, till you read more Gleason. Well, you tell me what Gleason to read, Mr. Shut Up guy, telling people to shut up. It's like, I just gave actually the guy that said he should write. I said he'd probably be better than the top 50, he'd be in the top 50 percentile, right? I'm sure. I just said he'd be better than probably every person writing X-Men, which includes Jonathan Hickman. Like, why are you telling me to shut up? That's not very nice. Teelam says he's tried to. He wrote Robin, Son of Batman, TPS. Did he write that solo? I thought he wrote that with Tomasi. I could be wrong. RDV says I drink Miller Genuine Draft, Miller High Life, or Red Dog. Miller Genuine Draft was my go-to when I was young. when I did all my real drinking, which was before I was legally allowed to drink. I got blitzed every weekend, and it was Miller Genuine Draft was my beer. I can't drink it these days. But I definitely understand. I've been there. Teelan says Stella Artois, very effeminate of you. No, it's very French of me. I'm very sophisticated. You would not know because you live down under. That was a bad accent. Quirk says, Marvel has the best comics in history. From 1998 to 2010. Sorry. Not a single of the great comics of history are from that time frame. Eric Breen says, I only read 90% of Marvel comics from 1995 to 2011, so what do I know? Well, I don't know. You read some really bad comics today, Eric, and you don't listen to me. So I think you don't know quite as much, maybe. Maybe you're just forgetting stuff. Maybe you did know things and then you forgot. I don't know. I'm not judging you. Melissa says, Punisher's first appearance was Spider-Man. Jimmy says, not true. No one beats Hickman. Well, except every writer on Dawn of X right now is beating Hickman. Let's see. Jimmy's having a Corona watching the stream, and you just said you didn't drink much. This is the second time you're drinking. Dun, dun, dun. I said 1995 Blind Baby. I don't know what that means. It's a casual drink, Ash. I think doth protest too much. You forget, Jimmy, I've seen you drunk live on camera multiple times. They should beat Hickman. Maybe then nasty stuff he's doing to X-Men should be beaten out of him, says Val Conan. Well, the problem is they're doing the same stuff as, I mean, they're following his lead. So lucky to be drinking while I'm stuck at work listening. Oh, I'm sorry, Rick. Well, hopefully we can make your time at work a little more tolerable. Jimmy says, you said sit back and have a beer, and so I am. You said that like the 15-minute mark. Jimmy, you're taking things way too seriously, my friend. You mean to have another beer. You know, chill. This is a chill stream. Speaking of chilling, my beer's over, so it's time to read comics. We got tonight American Vampire, number 3. I should have Vankman come on and read it since he's already read it. You guys like to hear Vankman read you a comic instead of me? Might improve things. Maybe I could get him on permanently. He likes to do streams. Let's see. Jimmy says, when I drink, I drink my Irish roots intended, but the casual drink. See, I told you drink. You tried to deny it. And then Jimmy says, I'll drink to that. I think I am going to rest my case, Your Honor. Hopefully you guys are enjoying American Vampire. I'm sorry, Vankman, I'm not getting anyone saying that they want you to read the book, but I'm putting it out there for you. Vankman is passing out. He's got old man Brenitus. Eric says, I guess I'll be offering temperance lectures after the stream again. They do make, non-alcoholic beers. I keep seeing a commercial for Heineken. For whatever reason, Heineken's pushing the non-alcoholic beer. I don't know what that's all about. All right, let's get into American Vampire. Here we go. Maybe. If that thing doesn't freeze up on me. There we go. Who did this cover? I don't know. I can't. This kind of looks like a Kubert. Looks similar style to one of the Kuberts. It's hard to tell with a different genre than I'm used to. Let's see the credits. Variant by Andy Kubert. I was right. Well, it's half right because I never know if it's Andy or Adam. It's hard for me to pick those two apart. All right, sorry. July 1925, Los Angeles. Who's there? Shh. It's just me, Hat. Pearl? But you're... Rough cut. Written by Scott Snyder. Artist Raphael Albuquerque. Oh, Pearl. That doctor. He said you were as good as dead, but I knew it. Hattie. You look amazing. Hattie, listen to me. You have to get out of here now. You're not safe. What? Move out? But I don't understand. Here, take this money. There's money inside, but can you stay with Stan from work? I guess. But Pearl, what's happened? Is someone after you? No, Hat. I'm after them. I'll call you as soon as it's safe. Wait, Pearl, don't. They left me in a ditch, Hat, to die. They'll keep doing it, too. I'm sorry about the mess. What mess? He's taunting us. Leaving your servant for the world to find. Lucia, he agreed to the treaty. That's what's important. Treaty? Who's to say Sweet won't break the treaty tonight? No, we should hunt him down now, Bernard, while we still can. Treaty or no treaty, his very existence is an offense to our race. In the past, we would not have stood for it. Your memory is short, my dear. Obviously, you've forgotten what happened the last time we hunted Sweet. His weaknesses are still unknown to us. Yes, but we do know that he rests during the moonless time, and the moonless time starts tonight, in a matter of hours. All we have to do is find his hiding spot, and just where should we look? In case you hadn't noticed, this country is almost entirely transient. Sweet walks by day. By now, he could be anywhere from here to the Alaska territories. No. For now, a policy of neglect is the safest course. Sweet is too arrogant to make more of his kind. Foreshadowing. Attack him, however. Push him too far. And who's to say he won't do something drastic? Drastic? How do you mean? He could go to the vassals. He could ally himself with them. Have any of you thought of this? He wouldn't. Just be patient, my friends. Eventually, he will be eliminated. Edgar, here is the address Hamilton telephoned from. Whoever lives there likely encountered some evidence of Sweet's antics. Go clean up the mess. And take Lucia with you. Please, no eyes to you girls. Forgive me, Bernard. I meant no offense. Oh, this isn't a punishment, dear. I'm impressed with your new spirited sensibility. It seems the place is rubbing off on you. Soon you'll be dancing the Charleston and biting collards in alleyways. Have fun now. The rest of us are going to have something to eat. So, how's shooting going on the Wings of Destiny? Heard you've got half in the can. More than half. The costume's one bad bitch, though. Leather gives me hives, see? Twice the work for the makeup girl. You should have held your tongue, Lucia. I'm sorry, my love. I'm just tired. Tired of Swede and his insults. Tired of this weather. I hate when Bernard calls on us during daylight, too. But you can't get so perturbed. It's disrespectful. 314 Union Avenue. Yes, sir. And fast. The sooner we get home, the better. Huh? Hey, you're Tad Chesterfield, the movie star. In the flesh. I always hated your fucking movies. That'd be a scary sight. Rides over, lovebirds. Grr. She ripped off his face. Crash. Wait, Edgar. Wait for me. Looks like Sweet made himself a mongrel bitch. What a pleasure to meet you. We actually met once before, at a party. I didn't like you then either. Sun is setting. You're an abomination, do you know that? You and your maker, degenerate trash. You know, I was going to burn you alive in that wreck. But on second thought, why don't you come out and play? Slash. Your kind will never prevail. I'm doing okay so far. We got cacti where I'm from, too. My mother liked to burn the thorns for the smell. Most people don't realize the thorns. They're almost entirely splish wood. Just playing Eric Breen's favorite song. Permission to come aboard, Henry? Pearl? But you were... I saw you. Jesus, girl, come here. I'm sorry for standing you up on your date. Well, being attacked by wild animals is a pretty weak excuse. I mean, you could at least come up with something original. Actually, there's more to the story, but I think we'd better go inside first. Hey, you're talking to a man of the road here, remember? There isn't a story out there that could shock me. Henry? Are you all right? You're a good actress, I'll hand it to you. Fine. Don't believe me. I just need a place to stay for a couple of nights. Sure. Why not? Feel free to hang upside down anywhere you like. The fan, the light fixture looks cozy. Please, Henry, just give me an answer. You're really serious about this? I'm weak. I can barely... Whoa, what's wrong? I don't know. I'm so weak. Since the sun went down. No moon. It's good to have you back. The next night. Pearl, wake up. There's a call for you. Oh, so tired. It's Hattie. She says it's an emergency. Hattie? Pearl, I'm so sorry. No, don't. Miss Pearl Jones. Let her go. Certainly. But we would like to speak with you first. You'll meet us for a talk at the big sign on the hill? Shall we say an hour from now? How do I know you won't kill her first? I assure you that unlike your friend Mr. Sweet, I am a man of my word. Click. Pearl, wait. They have her, and it's my fault. You can hardly walk. At least let me come with you. No, this doesn't concern you. My car, my rules. You're in no shape to go alone. Okay. Good. I'll crank it. Listen, I keep a 38 in the boat. I'll go get it. Wait! I'm sorry, Henry, but this is between me and them. To be continued. Huh. Eric doesn't like vampire stories. I think he left us. Let's see. Where was I? Jimmy says, such a great book. This was a fun issue, says RDV. Ronnie says, watch out about that Breen. Tony sponsored Carrie Danvers in an AA, and look what happened to him. Oh, great. Are you suggesting that Breen's going to kill me? That'd be bad. That'd be a fitting end for me. Got to babysit the store all day tomorrow. Guess I should get a little sleep tonight. Good night, kids. Good night, Eric. It was good seeing you. RDV says, Pearl is my favorite character. Let's see. Melissa says it's Halloween month and vampires running amok. Vampires are not a race. They're supernatural mutated undead humans. Also, X-Men are not a separate race. That mutated humans born with an X gene. Well, that's true, but they don't see it themselves that way. So, let's see. Thorns kill vampire. Let's see. Computer Robots is here. Hi, Ash and everyone, he says. Let's see. Anything made of wood harms all vampires. Not all vampires. It just depends on whose story it is. Not every vampire is the same. Let's see. Hardy V says, I hear the crickets outside Ash window. Yeah, I hear them too. But I wasn't hearing them so much through my headphones, so I didn't think you guys could. But I'll just let it add to the ambiance. I got cricket night. Have you ever seen the Hammer film Sunlight Burns Vampires? It's true. In that film, they do. My favorite burning of vampires. You guys ever seen? Oh no! Now I'm forgetting. Man, I was. Dang it! It's a James Cameron. I thought it was James Cameron film. I gotta look it up. First, I gotta go off full screen. Can't remember the name of it. It's a vampire film. Which reminds me, while I'm looking this up, what is your guys' favorite vampire movies? Or I guess stories. I guess we can include books or comics. So you could say American Vampire. Basically any intellectual property. What's your favorite vampire property? Let's see. writer. Maybe he didn't write it. Thought he was part of it. Can't remember the name. So now I got to do the 6 Degrees game. So I know that an actor was in it. Bill Paxton was in it. So we go to Bill Paxton. We go look at his history. And it was in the early 80s. Thought it was in the early 80s. Near Dark. There we go. Have you guys seen the movie Near Dark? God, I can't believe I couldn't remember that name. Catherine Bigelow directed this one, I want to say. This is an old school 80s vampire film. And it's pretty cool. They had, well, I mean, the effects are like lame by today's standards, but there's the cool effects where like there's like they're in a hotel room and they put duct tape over the curtains and stuff like to keep the light out, because even like a stray ray of light would burn them. And so there's like a shootout. They get in trouble with the law, and like the sheriff or whatever, they come and they get in a shootout and bullets are going through the walls and the curtain stuff. And so like there's rays of light coming through, and as their bodies like pass through the light, it like catches them on fire. And it was just I always thought back then, I was like, that's such a really cool way to imagine how vampires are, to the light. And they have to make this like getaway. And so they had like literally like wrap themselves in blankets so they could like run out of the hotel room. It was a neat concept. It's like I said, it's kind of dated. I could have sworn James Cameron was involved with this, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's because he got married to Catherine Bigelow, but you don't care about this. Skinner and Pearl evolved vampires. They have different weaknesses as RDV. Moreland and vampire. Okay, Ash, I got a question for you, and also guys in the chat. I'm doing a paper on something that I want to know your opinion. Do you think leaders are born or made, and why? I don't think leaders are. I think leaders are both born and made. I think you need the combination of both. I think if you don't have it in you to be a leader, you won't ever be made into one. But if you do have it, if you're born to be a leader, you still won't be one unless you go through the ropes that teaches you how to be a leader. I think it's absolutely essential that you have both qualities. Let's see. RDV says neither. Leaders are people who rise up in a tough situation. RDV says his favorite vampire movie is the John Carpenter one with Bon Jovi. Oh, that was the one, I think it was just called Vampires and was based on a book, I think by the same name, except that the S was a $. That was a fun movie. I like John Carpenter, but that was kind of the end of his career when he wasn't doing the greatest stuff. But there was a lot to love in that film. Salem's Lot, says Melissa. That's an interesting choice. What's the one with Ethan Hawke and Sam Neill? Is that Daybreakers? Is that the one you're thinking of? That's the only one I can think of with Ethan Hawke. If it is, Daybreakers was okay. It had some interesting ideas. I really like the Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire. It's one of the few movies I've seen where I think I like it better than the book. And they really did that book justice. Like it's also one of the few movies I've seen where I read the book after seeing the movie. And I was shocked when I read the book, like how true the movie was to it. Like, the only thing the movie really does different is leaves out this huge chunk of story where the vampire, Brad Pitt's character, goes to Europe for a time. And that there's a big chunk out of there, but in hindsight, you really didn't need it. And if you have to shorten the story to a movie, it all ended up working out. Let's see. Melissa says leaders are both born and made, so she agrees with me, it sounds like. Jimmy says Skip has been trying to get me to watch Only Lovers Left Alive vampire movie. I've never even heard of that one. My favorite kind of vampire movies are the ones that have sort of a mythos to them. I really like what Anne Rice did with vampires by like turning them into this sort of secret society. And I believe a lot of people have copied what she's done. White Wolf Games, you know, their famous game Vampire the Masquerade feels completely ripped off of Anne Rice's stuff, but the whole mythology of like having vampire clans and this whole sort of like hierarchy and structure and this whole like underworld thing, I found the sociological aspects of that fascinating. There was a little bit of that in Underworld, although it wasn't like the vampires. It was more like there was a vampire society and then there was a werewolf society. I really wish those movies would have done better with that, but they sort of abandoned that and kind of made it stupid. Jimmy says this with Tom Holland. Not Tom Holland. Tom, it's not Tom Holland. Oh geez, now I'm getting the names. Now you got me messed up. Who's the actor that plays Loki? Oh gosh, someone else put in chat. Hiddleston. Is it Tom Hiddleston? It's not Tom, is it? I just feel like it sounds wrong. I don't know. Watch Full Moon Subspecies Films Vampire Journal spinoff and the other spinoff, Decadent Evil 2. Tom Hiddleston. I guess it is right. Just sounded weird. All right, yeah, Tom Hiddleston. I've never heard of it. Another vampire movie I really like. I think it's one of the best vampire movies ever made. One of the really great movie is Bram Stoker's Dracula. Holy crap. I couldn't read the book, but that movie was astounding. And Gary Oldman as Dracula is one for the ages. If you like this movie, this Near Dark is cool. I don't know if I can recommend it though. It just hasn't aged well. This would be a movie that RDV though I would recommend see, because he kind of likes doing these old school 80s films for his Extreme movie show. RDV, if you haven't seen this might be something worth checking out for the movie show stuff you do. I'd be curious to see what you thought. A very underrated vampire movie is Priest with Paul Bettany and Carl Urban. I've heard of that. I didn't know it was a vampire movie though. Subspecies film. It's got a tall man from Phantasm. His son Radu fights his half brother who is a good vampire over the Bloodstone. Oh, I haven't heard of that. Have you ever watched Day Watch or Night Watch? No, but I have been interested to. It looks really cool. I got a little dismayed when the third movie was said it was never going to get done. So I was like, oh, that sucks. You're doing 2 movies of a trilogy and then you're done. Because I guess the filmmaker got some Hollywood deal. He's like, I'm out. See ya, Russia. Just like, I'm not finishing these movies. And you're like, oh. So, but if you say I should watch them, if you recommend them, I might put them back on my list. Let's see. Let's go back to the Stephen King follow-up story, the backup story. July 1925, Los Angeles. Just so we're clear, you're saying that now, all of a sudden, we're all supposed to believe that the ridiculous events described in Bad Blood, your fictionalized bastardization of real Western figures, that these events are true. Oh, that's exactly what I'm saying. And you're telling us this now, after all these years, at the book's reissue. Why, dare I ask? Not to milk a few more drops from the old cash cow, of course. Believe what you want, sir, frankly. I'm not here to win over armchair historians like yourself. Blood Vengeance. Written by Stephen King. Art by Raphael Albuquerque. I'm here to tell the truth, once and for all, because there's more to the story than anyone knows. As for why tonight, why here, I'll get to that in due time. It's my story. Let me tell it. The thing people like you are too smart to believe in... The thing people like you were too smart to believe in took a terrible vengeance that night. Sorry, that was weird. Weird phrasing. Still hungry. Holy shit. How long have I been down? 10 years? 20? And what the fuck? Welcome to Lakeview. Established 1884. The Honorable Hector Camilo, Mayor. Welcome, neighbor, sit a spell, the sign reads. The mayor's a taco bender? That ain't progress. That's insanity. Uh-oh. Scott Snyder's about to be canceled. Bigot. Just kidding. Camille. Same name as Book's deputy. Drugstore. Wonder of the age. Telephone. Your friends. The sign reads. Some newfangled kind of whorehouse? No, I don't know what it is. Candy. Woof, 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 woof. He couldn't have understood his new state at first, but I think he was a very quick learner. Ike, Ike, Ike. Still hungry. I didn't come back from the grave to just starve in a candy shop. Put up your hands, or you'll never have to worry about being hungry again. What's the matter with you? Do you want to wake up the whole town? This is what I want. This. Everything tastes better when you're dead. Who knew? Pow. What the? I'll be a horseless wagon. Pow. Mister, you're covered with blood. Cut myself shaving. If you don't want to suffer a worse fate, tell me where the mayor's office is. Beaner in the straw. And I don't care. Beaner in the straw, and I don't care. Beaner in the straw, and I don't care. Master's gone, Put away your dingus, my drunken friend. Who gave you a license to sell sausages? We've got a nice warm room for you in the calabozo. Try putting me there, and your two mothers will mourn your loss, if you ever had any. Oh my, a drunk with a smart mouth. I always like a little morning exercise. Ah! Ah! Payback starts here, and payback's a bitch. Sweet no longer needed a gang. He tore Lakeview apart all on his own. Back with a bang. And why not? The nests of vampires that owned the West, and still do, weren't like Skinner Sweet. They were night creatures, European nobility, and as interested in Bucks's blood. But are those things really so different? To present this as truth is insane. Then you better leave, because it gets worse. Skinner Sweet. He's risen, mon Dieu. I told you this might... Shut up, Vachon. We need to see where he goes when playtime's over. He's walking in full sunlight, that... Patuh. How to follow in daylight? Do you think parasols and skin creams will keep us from boiling alive? We need a Hume. His old pal works for us, doesn't he, Kuznetsov? Jeeks, yes. Him and those toothless twins. Fick dein Mutter. The dynamite. Vaughn, get a bank clerk to fetch Jeeks. Now. Am I the only one here who can think? You thought this could never happen. Mayor Camillo, get up. We got bad trouble. He just went into the mining warehouse, Chief Fence, and it looked like Skinner Sweet. You goddamn idiot. Sweet's 30 years in his grave. I ought to know. I put him there. Mayor Camillo, some bastard calling himself Skinner Sweet is running wild into town. Then let's go get him. I left a little something. Inside yonder warehouse. Ah, damn it. Getting really annoyed with this whole crashing thing. Like, why does it happen in the middle of a book? It's like, oh, we know you were logged in, but now you're not. Pardon the interruption. We're having technical difficulties. Boom! Why, if it ain't Book's old boss, Finch. And I do mean old. Where is he, boss man? If I tell you, will you let me go? You bet, partner. Come here. That's palaver, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. Do I look dangerous? Books in Cruces, New Mexico. The same town where his old deputy lives with his daughter. Book and the Beaner. How nice. Hold this for me, Finchy. You promised. Nope. I said, you bet. You did. And you lost. Nasty. I am making a citizen's arrest. Easy there, Senor Mayor. Let's talk this over. I can see you've got a good head on your shoulders. Hey, Pard, I got a telegraph for you. Dear Felix Camille, stop. I have something you may want. Stop. Ride for the old Bakersville mines. Stop. Bring book. Stop. Your pappy says hello. Stop. Your old amigo, Skinner Sweet. This is the telegram Sweet sent. I happened to be with Jim Book on the day it arrived. What's wrong, Felix? Something's happened. It's my father. We called. There's no answer anywhere in Lakeview. Dear God. I know you said you'd never strap on the guns again, but this is different. Abelina, go home. If you want to keep me here, you better shoot me. That's my pappy we're talking about. She is good with a gun, Jim. And if this guy calling himself Skinner Sweet is as bad as he sounds, okay, if I tag along, just keep up. Cheeks, the Blacksmouth twins. They are, how do you say, on the prod. What are we to do, Percy? I have word that James Book and our late mayor's son are on their way. Best case, our pet Humes tell us Book and his friends have killed Sweet and solved our problem. Worst case, we talk with our American vampire friend. We make a deal. And if he won't deal? This is America, Vaughn. In America, everybody deals. Even vampires. Ronnie Jeeks followed his old boss out of town. I knew where he was headed before he turned that stolen cayuse? I don't know. Man, some terminology I've never heard of. Turned that stolen cayuse of his into a Bakersfield road. What if Skinner finds out that all them chests and bags of money we stowed in there is empty? What could he expect? We thought he was dead. Besides, Book and Camila will take care of him when they see that. That was what we were riding to see, although we didn't know it. And beyond it, in the dark... Come on, Pink. It's time we had this out. To be continued. This was my least favorite of the ones I've read so far. Both the front and the back story. They felt a little bit too just by the numbers. Not that they was necessarily bad, but it just didn't seem to offer much. Just, oh, look, in the first story you got Pearl, just like, oh, there's bad vampires, I'm going to go meet them and kill them. The end, and this backup story, it's just, oh, there's Skinner Sweet running around just killing people. There didn't seem to be any real purpose for this particular story. So I'm hoping that it's just part of a greater whole. But that's my take so far about this issue. I'm not sure what your particular thoughts were. We'll see if anyone cares to share. I gotta see if it'll let me borrow the next book. There we go. All right, let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Jimmy says, Ash made me go and watch Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. And it wasn't good first watch. But the more I rewatched it 3 times after, and it truly is a great movie. I went and bought the Mignola comic adaptation. Oh, I'm glad you learned to appreciate it. That is it's a classic movie. Let's see. RDV says he watched the first one. I guess he's talking about Daywatch, and he says it was decent, but not good enough to watch the second one. So that's kind of telling. Let's see. RDV says, night guys, my eyes are getting heavy. Vankman getting sleepy? What's going on? Hope you're not feeling under the weather. Get yourself some rest, Vankman. Sorry. Yeah, you probably read Long Halloween before. You're probably not missing much. All right. That's it. Speaking of Long Halloween, let's get on with the show. Batman, The Long Halloween. Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale. It's doing it again. It's because it's a different tab. Oops. They were logged out. All right, try again. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Holiday killer stalks Gotham, newspaper reads. La da dee da dee da. Living in a winter wonderland. It's the Joker reading a newspaper. Ha! Ha ha ha! Ha ha! Hee hee! I hate that song. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room and took every present. The one speck of food that he left on the house was a crumb that he was even too small for a mouse. Need a drink, hold on. I was getting a little parched there because beer, it's nice and refreshing, but after you drink it, it kind of dries your mouth out. Anyways, who cares? Moving along. We see Joker's got some people tied up. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. Christmas Eve in Gotham City. A serial killer the newspapers have dubbed Holidays on the loose.
A serial killer is typically a...
No, I didn't talk to you, Siri, you dumb... Jeez. He or she is struck on Halloween and Thanksgiving. Holidays. And tomorrow is Christmas. The Joker has escaped again. Attacked some family and took all their Christmas presents for God's sake. I know. You do? How? We just heard and... Never mind. So many are here. Nearly double went from when you first appeared. Not that there's a direct correlation, but... Do you give it any thought? No. Oh. I know what Gordon is implying. That my presence somehow attracts these men and women to my city. Jim Gordon is a good man. He and the police do the best they can with limited resources. But Gotham City needs Batman to protect her from criminals such as Julian Day, the Calendar Man. I've spoken to the district attorney's office, Julian. 30 days hath September, April, June, and they're willing to commute your sentence to time served if you'll help us with these murders. Our feeling is with your interest in committing crime to coincide with the calendar, you might have some insight. Tomorrow is the big day. She'll be killing again. What makes you think it's a woman? Because he likes it. The attention. No one knows who she is, and already he has made a name for himself. Or herself. You've been lucky so far. In February. Lincoln's birthday, Washington's birthday, and President's Day. February. Surely we'll have caught the killer by then. Groundhog Day, Ash Wednesday, Secretary's Day, Earth Day, Flag Day, Boxing Day, Hanukkah. Let's go. Dent. It has to be Harvey Dent. I want somebody, Toots, and I mean somebody good, planted in that DA's office watching Dent day and night. Already on it, Mr. Maroney. Got a kid named Vernon, ha ha. Toots. Ha 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 ha. What's so friggin' so funny here? Hey. Care for some more wine, Mr. Maroney? A clown? No clown comes into my place and... Mine's bigger, Maroney. Or should I say, Holiday? Holiday? Me? Sure. You're the number 2 man in this burg. Carmine, the Roman Falcone, is number uno. Holiday only whacks the Romans, men, so you've got the most to gain. No, wait. I swear on my mother's grave, at the end of the day, it's about business. And this whole holiday thing is screwing up business for everyone. Then, who is Holiday? Soon. Man, Toots, you putting on weight. All the better to sink him with. Curly, Angel, where are your mooks? Maroney. Oh, enough of this already. For a smart man, that was not a very bright move. What went on here tonight? Some guy calls himself the Joker. Came looking for Holiday. Why? What's his connection to Holiday? How should I know? He's a lunatic like you. This whole town is full of lunatics ever since you came here. Lunatics. Harvey? Now can I look? Merry Christmas, Gilda. Whoa, slow down, honey. The doctors want you to take it easy. You really shouldn't be out of that chair. Doctors, what do they know? Oh, Harv, can we really afford it? No. So I'll just have to work twice as hard. Welcome home, Mrs. Dent. Harvey, do you think starting over in a new house, maybe we could try again to have children? A second chance? We'll see. Gilda, why don't you have a look around upstairs? All right. Be right back. Take your time. My sweet little tot. There's a light on this tree that won't light on the one side. Get out. Sock. Pow. Oh, you're good, Dent. But you're no Batman. The question is, what sort of man are you? This town isn't big enough for 2 homicidal maniacs. And if I found out that the buzz is true, that Harvey Dent is Holiday, I'm not going to be as forgiving the next time. Get out of my house. Harvey? The Romans' penthouse. Bong, bong, bong. Wakey, wakey. Falcone, you find this Holiday, or I'll kill everyone in Gotham City until I find him. He spoke not a word, but went straight to work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod. Up the chimney he rose. Milos, the Roman's personal bodyguard, dies on Christmas Day. Holiday has another victim. Have a Merry Christmas, Joker. It will be your last. That's solid. It's good. I was hoping to be better. This is definitely one of those books. When people say it's better in the trade, I usually kind of scoff at remarks like that. Like, oh, it's better in the trade. In fact, I had a little bit of a debate with Jimmy the other night about that and how I feel like, I think it was Jimmy. It was someone. I thought it was Jimmy. About how I think a lot of times we feel books are better in the trade because we just don't want to wait, and it's like you get that whole thing. But sometimes when you get to prolong the time that you're with something, it stays more in your memory. It's more in your consciousness. And I use the example of White Knight because I read the first White Knight as a trade. I read it all in one sitting, and it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite modern books, for sure. The 21st century, it's absolutely one of the top books. Curse of the White Knight, which may not be quite as good. I think overall might be slightly less, it's right up there. It's a very good sequel. But I enjoyed my time with it more because it was monthly book and I read the book every month. And so it was with me in my conscious for 8 months. And I feel like I got to really sink my teeth into it and enjoy it for a long period of time. So that was kind of my argument about it. It's like, I get, I could have sat down and read it in one sitting, maybe like an hour, hour and a half time, or however long it take to power through it. And then it'd be over and I'd be like, yeah, it was fun. And it'd be kind of just like watching a movie and being done with it. But getting to sit there and like let it dominate like your thoughts and, and just you can have discussions about it and spend time with it over a long period of time. I feel is a lot more fulfilling. Now, this book could be the argument that wins, the other way, where I'm like, I don't know. I think maybe this book is better to sit and read, because The Curse of the White Knight, each issue I read, I felt like, damn, that was, like I closed it and I was like, damn, that was good. Like, I can't wait to read the next one, but there was a fulfilling nature to that issue. This book feels like I'm only reading a chapter. Like it's like I'm reading a book and just arbitrarily stopping after so many pages. And while that's fine, like that's how you typically read a novel, right? But you also just read a novel generally just nonstop until you're finished. So this book I feel is better so far, at least. Maybe it changes. 13 issues is we're still barely cracked the surface. We're still, this was issue 4, or that was issue 3. So we haven't even gotten through Act 1 yet of the story. It's still a lot of setup. So all this is my initial reaction. My thoughts may change as I read more of the story. That's just where I'm at. I really do like this cover, though, of this upcoming issue. It's really cool, very subtle. I like this reflection on the glasses. New Year's Eve. And it's cool to read this, too, because this book has been so influential on the Batman mythos, especially when it comes to things like the movies. This book was an influential book on the Nolan series. So reading it now, knowing that, I'm like, oh, I can kind of see where they pulled this or pulled that. It's interesting. So curious to what your reactions were. I know a few of you haven't read this before, like Maranya. Some of you may have, or maybe it's been a long time. So let's see. Watch Batman versus Dracula. Joker turns into a blood-sucking vampire clown. That sounds pretty freaky. 3 Jokers should not give Joker a real name. It would ruin his character. Maybe. Depends on how they do it. Let's see. Joker quotes Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Yeah, I do like how the Joker's taking classic lines from different Christmas things. And obviously, Grinch Stole Christmas is like firmly implanted in Americana Christmas culture. Calendar Man is Hannibal. I thought the same thing. I was like, this is totally Silence of the Lambs. Ash Wednesday, Joker approved. Nice. I'll have to remember that. Melissa says, that's a big gun. Joker always has a big gun. I like Dent better as Two-Face. I mean, Two-Face is cool, but it's kind of refreshing to see the Dent that was before, because it kind of humanizes Dent. It kind of helps you have sympathy for Two-Face, where you go, oh man, like you're not just a villain. Like I knew the man you used to be, because what I think one of the interesting things about Two-Face as a villain is that Batman considers him his friend still. Like he's like, look, like he still treats him like, man, you're a villain. I gotta take you down. But I also know you used to be a great man. Like, and I like that. I like that Batman has a connection to him, unlike most of the other villains that Batman, most of the other villains that Batman has, his connection is the fact that they're villains and he's put them away. And so getting to see some of that backstory of who Two-Face was before he became Two-Face, I feel is nice character development. Let's see. Let's see. Jimmy says, yeah, you had that with me, and I have to say I agree and disagree with you. Okay. We must be talking about the trade thing, which is fine. I mean, I'm not necessarily trying to argue to say anyone's right, wrong or anything. It's more of that's how I treat it. That's how my brain processes it. I firmly enjoy that time spent. So Let's see. The art suits the story again, but I don't like this interpretation of how Joker looks at all. I prefer the Bolan version of the one of Death in the Family. Yeah, I think that's going to be a very subjective thing. I think everyone has in their headcanon, you know, their Joker that they like best. I personally am not a big fan of the Bolan Jokers as much. I like the more trippy, weird, Jokers. But I also realize that it's completely subjective. Like, it's not because I can make an argument and say this is why it's better. It just appeals to me. I like the Jokers that are more of the sadistic kind. I like Heath Ledger's Joker from the movie is one of my favorite depictions of Joker. Kind of a scary psychopath. Some people like the Cesar Romero style Joker, which I feel the Bolan version is a little bit more of that, and that's fine. I mean, it's cool. They're all cool. You know, you've got the Jack Nicholson style Joker. But to me, I like the scary Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker was scary. And not because he was visually a monster, but just a man that you were just like, oh my God, this guy, he literally doesn't care about anything. He's a force of chaos. And he will, there's no reasoning with him. Batman versus Dracula is a badass movie, says Jimmy. I hate Curse of the White Knight because Gotham ungratefully stabs Bruce. He was framed like Bill Cosby, but by far left communist Marxist BLM diva. Gotham doesn't backstab Bruce, but Gotham gets manipulated, Melissa. And I think that makes for a good story because people are manipulated. It shows that even if you are a person who has the best interests of others at heart, that bad people can sow discord and deceive them against you. And that's what happened in both Dark Knights. The first one, I think, more so, but I'm very much appreciate. I think one of the greatest evils in the world is deceit, lies and deceit. And I think it makes for a great villainous tool is lies and deceit. And we're seeing this right in the real world today. I don't want to get stuck in the whole politics diatribe here as we get to the end of the stream. But hey, I did a pretty good job tonight. You got to give me some credit. I did not talk about politics tonight till now, but you can see that's what's happening now in the real world. There are people who are out there that are doing good for other people, and the people that they're trying to help are turning against them because they are deceived. And that's what the story was told in The White Knight. And I thought it came across, it's a comic book, so it can only be so authentic, but I felt that it came across authentic. And that's the nature of humanity. And in the end, what matters oftentimes is how does the story end. And White Knight, both of the White Knight books end in a way that kind of brings it around. Batman is a hero in both the books. He goes through his trials and tribulations, but good trials and tribulations make for good conflict, and good conflict makes for good stories. And how you overcome that conflict makes for compelling stories. Joker is a psychopath like Carnage, The Mask, and Freakazoid, and Deadpool. Yeah, but Joker is a psycho like all those guys, but there's something more to Joker than those other guys. Like The Mask is just, he's just a loon. He's just a lunatic. Joker is a lunatic, but he's almost like a lunatic with a plan. But his plan is not understandable to any sane person. That's how I take him. Jimmy says, I just turned in my essay with 1 minute to spare. Well, there's nothing like waiting until the last minute. Did you see the Invincible trailer for Amazon Prime? It's everything that I could want from the book to the screen. I did see it. It felt a little bit different than what I remember the book being. I guess that's to be expected since it's being adapted to a TV show, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just seeing it wrong. I've only read, the first 6 issues, so I've only have a very small sampling. The one thing that's interesting is that the art of the book was so, I don't want to say it was so bad. It was so not good. I don't know how to say it. I'm not trying to be disparaging, but the art was very mediocre, right? For a comic book. Now, animation, the artwork has to be a lot less detailed than like what a comic book would be, because you're drawing many, many frames, right? It's one thing when you're like, oh, look, I have to draw 20 pages of content. In animation, you're like, I have to draw 24 frames a second. For every second of screen, there's 24 pictures are being drawn. So they naturally have to, the pictures have to be less detailed. So we grow to accept that. But oftentimes, like when you see a TV show, like let's just say like the X-Men cartoon, right? You go, okay, I got the Jim Lee comics, and then I watch the X-Men cartoon. I'm like, the art in the cartoon is way shittier than the comic. But you expect it for the reason I just said. What I'm trying to get at was Invincible. I'm like, this just looks like the pages are animated because it's the same level of detail art. So while I think it's a negative for the comic book experience, I think it's a positive for the animated experience, because I'm like, wow, I'm getting the same level of art, but it's animated. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to cross my fingers. I want it to succeed. I want it to be good. I very much like Robert Kirkman. There's no creator currently in comics today that I buy more comics of. I'm collecting 1, 2, 3 Robert Kirkman books, I want to say. Yeah, there's 3 books I'm buying that are on my pull list that are Kirkman books at the time being. And 2 of them are amongst like my top. I mean, absolutely in love with. So I wanted to. I'm a Kirkman fan. Invincible is near the bottom of my list, however, of the things I've read of Kirkman. And I don't want to say that in a negative. I'm not trying to say like I hate it, but I'm just trying to say like, however good it is, I like everything he's done else better. So, maybe I just need to read more of it to woo me over. There is a lot more Invincible that I've never read. I definitely readily admit that. Let's see. I gotta scroll up. It says, looked impressive, Jimmy. Not gonna lie, says Ryuk. I know, right? Says Jimmy. Anyone finished Boys season 2? Wait a minute. Is the final episode of Boys out? I guess maybe it is, because it comes out Friday. It just ticked over to Friday for me. I've only seen the first 7 episodes. I'm really sad that Boys season 2 is only 8 episodes. I feel like I'm getting ripped off. Well, I mean, it's free, sort of. But I'm like, 8? You couldn't do like 10, 12 episodes? Like, it's a good show. I like season 2 better than season 1. Let's see. Melissa says, I hate Blumhouse, all woke SJWs. Melissa's so salty. Ash, I know you're thinking about food and drinking beer right now before going to bed. No, actually, I'm not thinking about food for a rare time in my life. And I do wish I had more beer. That beer is good. I'm telling you, man, it just hits the back of your throat. And it's just like, oh, it's good. Jimmy's like, wait, what? Ash looks exactly like the book. Which is what I talked about. It does look like the book. Oh, okay. You only read 6 issues. Never mind then. You have a pass this time. Let's see. Well, I wonder how many episodes the first season will have. Yeah, that's interesting. How many episodes will Invincible be? Computer robots. I hope and pray Fan Man's okay. There are hurricanes where he lives. I don't know. I guess they're friends of Fan Man. I wasn't a big fan of Walking Dead 1 through 12, but since they're re-releasing in color from 1 through 193, I'm picking it up. That's a way to get you hooked back in. I get the big phone book trades. That's the way to get the Walking Dead. It would be nice to see them in color, but they're originally designed in black and white, and I think when a comic book is designed in black and white, adding color, while it may enhance it somewhat, it doesn't necessarily. It shouldn't be needed, I guess, is what I'm saying. In fact, I don't like reading Ninja Turtles in color. I am way more of a fan of the old school black and white Turtles, and when they changed it to color, I think it lost something. Let's see, bro. Get past issue 6, and Invincible gets 1,000% better. All right, I'll see if I can add it to the list, and it gets better. I got so many comics, though. I gotta tell you, man. Like, there's so many books out there. They're like, people are like, oh, read this, and I just have to put it on the back burner because I'm so overwhelmed with stuff to read. Plus, I'm like actually reading real books again. Big chunky 1,000-page epics. This Brandon Sanderson books are fucking unreal. I gotta push them again. If you guys have not read Brandon Sanderson, read Brandon Sanderson. It's so good. And he writes hero stories. That's what's the great thing. I mean, I haven't read a ton of his stuff. I've only read 2 trilogies, and I'm on his big epic Stormlight Archives series now, which is, I heard someone say it was supposed to be 10 books. I was like, Jesus, that's crazy. He's trying to write Wheel of Time. But The Reckoners is a story about supers. It's actually a lot like The Boys in many ways. It's very much, I mean, it's not like The Boys, but there's similarities to The Boys for sure, where you're like, oh, I mean, it's got people who are like wanting to hunt down the supers, and if you're a super, like, all the supers are bad. Like, it doesn't have the bleakness of The Boys. Like, it doesn't have the whole Garth Ennis, like, I hate superheroes, so this is how I write them type attitude. But there's some similarity. So if you like that, and if you like stories of capes, and you want something that you haven't read before, The Reckoners is absolutely recommended. The books are not gigantic books, and they're super fast reads, and they're fun. And each book is different than the next, so it doesn't feel derivative. And Brandon always ties in heroism as a theme in all of his books, like heroes and virtue, which is something that I love. That's what I used to seek out in comics, and I just don't get it anymore. There's other kinds of stories out there. Not every story needs to be heroes and virtue, but that's what comics used to be all about. And so that's why I get disappointed when comics aren't that way. In any other media, you got romance, you can have westerns, you can have revenge stories, you can just have personal drama. There's so many different types of stories you can tell. So I don't care if every book I read is about the hero's journey. Like, they don't need to be. But it's nice because I'm not getting it in comics. So not only am I getting hero's journey in Brandon Sanderson's books, but I'm getting excellent here. I mean, I wish Brandon Sanderson would write Star Wars, because I have not read hero's journey of this caliber. He gets it the way Lucas got it in the original Star Wars trilogy. It's fantastic. Anyways, I'm just going to talk about it forever. Speaking of big omnibus, I was thrilled that Power Rangers to get Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Year 2 for a deal. Oh, okay. Cool. That took me a long time to decipher what you were saying there, Ryuk. So you got the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Year 2 omnibus for a deal. Got it. Jimmy says, is it The Way of Kings? Yes, that is the series I'm reading now. The series is called The Stormlight Archives. The first book is called The Way of Kings. And I kind of avoided it because it's like over 1,000 pages. It's like gigantic. Like the first book is bigger than the first 2 trilogies I read. But it's just worth it. It's got a character in the book whose name's Kaladin Stormblessed. Well, his name's Kaladin. He has a nickname for a last name, which is Stormblessed. And he's just he's become like one of my favorite characters in recent memory. And it's just, all the characters are actually really likable. Like, even if they're not like, oh, I like this guy, like, you like to not like them. Like, they're just solid characters that you're interested in their stories. And because it's one of those gigantic, hefty, epic books, the story bounces around to different characters. So you'll like be reading a little bit and it's about Kaladin and having an adventure, doing something, and then it like cuts off and now it goes over to this character and tells. And oftentimes, if you're not good at creating characters, you might have like one really cool character that the reader's into, and you're like, yeah, I'm under this story, and then it's like it cuts over to this other character, like, oh, I'm bored with this character, I don't want to read this. That was one of the problems I had with Wheel of Time. I was reading, I don't know if any of you guys read Wheel of Time series, but that there was a couple characters that I liked, and I was like, oh, this is fun, and then would cut off to some other dipshit character. I'm like, fuck this person. I just want them to die so I don't have to keep reading their boring story. Like, but Brandon's, it's not that way. Like, everything, and it all ties in. I've rarely read an author who is so well planned in his plotting. Like, his stories, every scene that happens in a book has purpose and meaning. Like, it's there for a reason. It's not just there to fill pages and be like, and you're sitting there, and so once you get to know that after you read a couple of his books and you understand that changes the way you read his books too. Cause then you're just like, wait a second, what's going on here? Like, doesn't seem interesting, but I know it's going to be important. And you're like, why is this important? And you start thinking, and it enhances the book. Anyways, Rick says, I will look for it, Ash, after I finish some comics in the book It. Well, that's a big book. If you're talking about Stephen King's It. I'm taking my client to Empire Strikes Back tomorrow. Your client? Do you have a client? That's interesting. And my friend who has never seen Star Wars before. So you have a friend who's never seen Star Wars and you're taking him to see the second movie. Jimmy, come on. Okay. Sorry. I'm very anal when it comes to Star Wars, and I believe that everyone's first Star Wars experience should be maximized. So I'm the kind of let him come over and see the first movie and then go see Empire at the theater. I work with special needs kids, and it's the only one that's in theaters. Well, yeah, I get that it's the only one in theaters, and I think that's a special thing to do. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how well it's gonna play if you haven't seen the first movie. Empire Strikes Back really does. It expects you to kind of understand a lot of things. Like, it expects you to have seen the first movie, like, because this just opens up and you've got these characters on a snow planet. Like, who are these characters and why are they, you know, why why is Han Solo arguing with this princess girl, and you know, why is this Luke character, you know, off? It's going to be confusing, I think. But okay. It's a shame. It's a shame that you don't have the ability, like I said, to just watch the first movie on video and then go see the movie. That would be optimal. Ryuk says, now I'm going to show my friends who never saw Star Wars Episode 7 just to spite you. Wow. Okay, Ryuk. If you really want to spite me, you could take your friends who've never seen Star Wars and let them to see a Disney one. That'll really spite me. Go ahead. Here, your first experience of Star Wars can be or the Solo movie. I'm going to do that. Or just have them see the very first Star Wars movie you ever see is Rise of Skywalker. That will be the best. And with that, my friends, thank you for being here. Thank you for chatting with me and having fun. I really do wish I could go see. I might see if I can get Empire Strikes Back in theaters. That would be a great thing to see. So have fun, Jimmy, if you do go see it. Anyway, I mean, I'm dismayed that the situation is what it is, but hopefully it works out. And Marania, thanks for... I haven't seen you chat in a while, so hopefully you're still here. Thanks for your participation and your support. I appreciate that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the books that I read. I'm just reading them. I'm not getting any feedback, so I'm just plowing along. I'm enjoying them. And we'll see you again, Sunday night for book 4 out of each, Long Halloween and American Vampire. And until then, read good comics, watch good movies, have a great day, and stay healthy.